in this busy time, budget time of the year. Just ask for your guidance and your blessings on this city. Be with the citizens, be with those that cannot attend, that are weak and sick, and we lift them up to you, Lord. Thank you for never leaving us, always being there. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Second item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Madam Mayor, if I could, I'd like to defer the tree board part of it until the first meeting next month.
Okay. Let's see, and that was under,
Old business E, Mayor.
thank you. I'm sorry, what did you say? What item was it?
Old business E.
E. Okay, anything else?
Move approved.
Second.
First and second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, the third item is the citizens' comments, and Al Torelli, if you'll please join us.
Good evening, Al Torelli from Fairview. The Friends of Bowie Nature Park wish to publicly state our position concerning disposition of the Bowie Park Fund. We respectfully remind the board of the stipulations placed upon the use of this fund, which was derived from the city's sale of about 6 acres of parkland to South Star. According to the minutes of the meeting of June 17, 2008, at which the sale was approved, a term of sale specified by South Star was that the proceeds of $450,000 were to be used only for Bowie Nature Park improvements. This stipulation mirrors that of Dr. Bowie's deed for the park. We have noted the following expenditures paid from the Bowie Park Fund that cannot be reasonably categorized as Bowie Nature Park improvements: repaving a section of Bowie Lake Road outside the boundaries of the park, engineering fees for the road outside the park, and a greenway project that was abandoned, salary and other park expenditures not covered by the city, a new truck, and a utility vehicle for staff use. These expenditures total almost $200,000. We recognize the city's current budget shortfall and the lack of feasibility of repaying this amount in the short term. However, we believe provisions should be made to do so over a reasonable amount of time, such as a 10-year period. This would follow the precedent set by the repayment of $50,000 withdrawn from the original Bowie Park Fund in 1992 to purchase police cars. The interest-free loan was fully repaid by 2005. Furthermore, we understand that the Board of Commissioners is considering accessing this fund to cover park salaries for the current year shortfalls, approximately $100,000. We would consider this another infringement of the terms of the use of park fund, as staff salaries do not constitute park improvements. If the fund is used for this purpose, we believe provisions must be put in place for a short-term repayment plan, 5 years or fewer. Many of the park's financial assets were lost long ago. Evergreen Industrial Park came to the city through Dr. Bowie's will, which asked that proceeds from sales to be used to establish and maintain the nature park. The commercial properties along the road to City Hall came to the city through her deed, which asked that proceeds be reinvested into improvements to said real estate. The Friends regretfully accept that those monies can never be recovered for the park, but it's not too late for South Star money to reach its intended use, true and everlasting improvements to Bowie Nature Park. Friends of Bowie Nature Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you don't mind, I'll give you
No, please. Thank you.
Sir.
The next item on the agenda is awards and recognition. Mr. Hall?
Mayor, we have none tonight.
Okay. Any of the commissioners have anything? Okay, I wanted to take a moment. I did have somebody point out that apparently this week was Public Works week, just as they have administrative and week, and so I just wanted to take a moment. I had no idea it was, but just wanted to thank the guys for everything they do and that department and how important their work is to the city. Okay, that brings us to item 5, public announcements.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks for that reminder so I can go over and congratulate the men in the morning.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but as you know, it's been kind of a hectic week. One thing I'd like to announce, of course, is the admission testings on Monday and Tuesday from 7:30 till noon. And as you well know, we've had our pre-construction meeting on our resurfacing grant that's been going on since 2011. Frank will have a few more details about that in a few minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And your microphone was on? Okay, just double checking. Okay, anybody else have a public announcement? I do know that the chamber is having their Taste of Fairview. I believe it's the 19th of May.
I believe so.
Okay.
You
Do
can
you
get-
have it where you can look? I
Well, let me see.
should have looked at that before I came up here.
I believe it is 19th. You
I
can look
think
on, you can
it's
look on
the-
our website and check off the Chamber of Commerce, and it'll give you all the details on it. It's, I don't forget how many people they're gonna have there for it, and it's $25 a ticket. For youth, it's a little bit cheaper, but it's all the proceeds going to,
Boys and girls?
No, all the proceeds are going to, Meals on Wheels.
Okay.
6 to 8:30.
6
Yeah.
to 8:30, yeah.
Well, and I did pull it up. It is Tuesday, May 19th at 6 to 8:30. And this year is going to be held at 2239 Fairview Boulevard. And I believe that's
Parking lot.
the parking lot of Food Line. So just to throw that out. Okay, and that gives us, yes.
Keith, are you going to cover the event on Saturday?
Oh, yeah.
Just want to make sure something.
Okay. That gives us to the consent agenda. Okay, staff comments, already X'd them off. Okay, sorry, staff. Let's go with Mr. Humber first.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Board of Commissioners. Just a couple of things to cover with you. As Mr. Hall said, we had our pre-construction conference for the repaving of Cox Pike and Cumberland, and that project should begin right after school is out, which would be on May 22nd or shortly thereafter. There will be, the contractor is putting up message boards along those streets before that time, which will explain what days they will be there working in the road, so the residents and other people who drive those roads will be aware of when that's going to occur. He did say he thought his total construction time would be 4 days, and so it'll happen fairly quickly, and so it shouldn't be too much of an inconvenience. There will be a few mailboxes that he will have to move, but we will go by and personally talk with the people whose mailboxes are being moved before they move them. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention is that yesterday Mr. Hall, the mayor, and I went to the utility district in Murfreesboro, where we looked at a decentralized system, which I thought was a very informative and productive meeting with them. I think we can see where our future is going with sewage treatment. I think it looks like something that's working very well in that county. They have a long 15-year track record of dealing with those. So we're really encouraged with the way they've handled it and the things they've learned and the upgrades they've made and those things. So we probably will have to make some adjustments to our code regarding that, but we'll be looking at those things in the future. The development representative from Walton Construction was there at that meeting. He indicated that they were in process of wrapping up their testing, their soils testing, and then as soon as that's completed, they'll be starting on their plans for their first sector. So we're hoping that's something we'll be looking at this summer. Their construction plans for their first sector. So that sounded very good, and it's they're underway working on it. So we know it's going to happen. We just don't know exactly when. Also, I met with a civil engineer who's working on the Hardee's project. It looks like that project will be submitted for approval in June. And so we look for early fall for them to start construction. And everything about that seemed to be very positive. They seemed to be just really first class. They had no problem with our design manual, no problem with our sign regulations. And I think it's going to be something that's going to be very attractive in the community. So that's the report I have. Thank you.
Great, yes.
Can I ask him a question?
Sure.
In Waldron's phase one, how many lots are in phase one?
Commissioner, I asked him, but he wouldn't. I couldn't get him to commit to it. I don't know. I was hoping 100, but I don't know. So,
Thank you.
I would just like to echo, it was a great tour, a great meeting. Appreciate Rutherford County being so gracious and giving so much of their time. So, the Walton Group, for those that don't know, is the group that has bought the Brownland Farms. And so, but I've been really impressed with them. They've met with us several times, and probably y'all more, but even included me in those meetings, and we're really excited about what they're going to bring. Now it's still a lot, they haven't, we're not done, but we're excited to have them here, and just the potential, and appreciate them taking their time and educating themselves, and asking good questions, and so I'm impressed. So let's see, Brandy, do you have anything for us tonight?
I do. I'd just like to announce that we are currently accepting applications for food vendors, other merchandise vendors, as well as sponsors for the July 3rd event, and those applications are available on the website.
Great, thank you.
Randy, did we send out notifications to everybody that was there last year?
We did.
Okay.
Okay, with that being said, anybody that would like to rent a booth, please do so. It's a good time.
I just want to first thank Cross Points Church and all their volunteers. We had about 100 volunteers come out for Mulch Day. It was a great event. It took 2 hours, had about 100 volunteers out there. And this Saturday we have Barks for Parks from 9 until 2. So everyone wants to come on out, and it should be a good event.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Okay, that leaves Mr. Darty.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to welcome Tim White with Benefits, Inc., and John Werner with Cumberland Securities. I just want to thank both of these gentlemen for their hard work for the city of Fairview, and I'm glad to have them here tonight. Also, we have a joint budget finance committee meeting Monday at, not Monday, Tuesday at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Okay, any questions for Tom? Okay, and I know no, because I've seen you've been working hard trying to crunch numbers, so we look forward to Tuesday to get the report. Are you going to send that out ahead of time to us?
I'm planning to.
Okay. Okay, any other? Nope. Okay, we'll move on. I think we can finally go to the consent agenda. And we still have to read it one last time.
Okay.
C through D, C through G, and it'll probably be 2 more times because we can't, the ordinance is on here for first reading, and we'll have to continue to read them through second reading.
Okay.
And we'll be finished because we could probably get away with it on legislation pending, but that's created more lawsuits in this state than most anything other than water pollution. So I just prefer to go through 2, and then we'll be in good shape.
We're good with it, if you will, Vice Mayor.
Item number 8C, second reading of bill number 2015-09, ordinance number 874, an ordinance to amend the city of Fairview's, Tennessee's budget for fiscal year 2014-2015, budget, police, ATV, and drug fund. Item D, second reading of bill number 2015-10, ordinance number 875, an ordinance to aid in establishing a healthy workplace for the employees of the city of Fairview, Tennessee by addition to the municipal code, Title 4 of the new chapter and section, Chapter 5, Section 5-101, Healthy Workplace Act, and 5-102, Model Abusive Conduct Prevention Policy. Item number E is second reading of bill number 2015-12, ordinance number 877, an ordinance for amendment to the city of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 2014-2015 budget, park fund for mulch and slide. Number F, second reading of bill 2015-13, ordinance number 878, an ordinance to amend the city of Fairview's facility tax section 5-602, tax established. Second reading of number G, second reading of bill number 2015-14, ordinance number 879, an ordinance to amend the city of Fairview, Tennessee municipal code, Title 5, municipal finance and taxation, Chapter 6, adequate facilities tax, section 5-604, use of tax. Move to approve.
Second.
Mayor,
Yes.
could I ask that we remove item 8C from the consent agenda and vote on it separately?
Okay.
Was that 8C?
8C.
Okay.
And so just for clarification, that would go to E on old business? Or do we talk about it now? Do it separate?
That's your call. You've got latitude to either put it, since the second reading would have to go under old business as item E if you defer, if you want to do that, or you can discuss it and vote on it now.
Now? Okay. Thanks. Okay, so with, is there anything else that needs to be removed? Any requests for citizens to remove it? Okay, what we'll do is we'll vote on everything in the consent agenda except for item C, which has been removed, and then we'll go right after that and we'll vote for C. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That leads us to item C.
Mayor, I will be recusing myself because I will be using that vehicle when I'm in the park.
Okay.
You've already read the caption, you don't need to do that
Okay.
again, so you just go to discussion.
Let me see something. Okay, so this is the ATV, okay. Just wanted to make sure I didn't have a question. Okay, do we have a motion?
Move to approve item C.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, old business, that would be A, discuss and take action of resolution 10/15.
A resolution requiring all of the City of Fairview, Tennessee meetings, special meetings, workshops, and any other meetings subject to the Tennessee Open Meeting Act of TCA 844-102, exclusive of executive session shall be televised, recorded, and posted for viewing. Commissioner Crutcher. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion?
Mayor, I'll just say that I read the draft that was sent out with our packet, and in that draft, I did not see where, I saw where we included meetings dealing with the Board of Commissioners, but not other boards, commissions, or committees. So I took the liberty today, just simply because I didn't have time to get in touch with Brandy, and Brandy get in touch with Mr. Cantrell to draft a version of the resolution. I have sent that draft around. Everybody should have a copy, including Mr. Cantrell and Brandy. So I would just move to approve the amended version that I have circulated.
Second.
I have no problem with it. I've read it, and I have no problem with it.
Okay.
Are we open?
Yeah, we're open for discussion.
I just have one question, and maybe I missed it because I read it very quickly. Does it allow that if, for some reason, there is a technical difficulty, that the meeting doesn't have to be canceled?
Not as drafted.
No, sir, I wasn't requested to include that.
Does anyone else think that's a good idea?
Well, I agree with you. Once it's publicized, if it's something that's completely unavoidable.
If it's something outside of our control, then I think what we're trying to address is that we don't take the position this meeting shouldn't be broadcast.
Sure.
What we're not, I mean, if it's a technical issue, if the system fries and we don't have a new system input yet, we shouldn't postpone the meetings.
You gonna make that amendment?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'll make it if everybody, if there's some logic, I didn't miss it.
I think there is.
I mean, I see your logic and the point. I guess it wouldn't hurt to ever be too careful, but I would think people could assume that, if there was a disaster or say the equipment failed, that there's not a lot. But I guess it never hurts to,
I mean, I didn't
spell it.
include a force majeure clause in here. I didn't really think about that, but I think that it would be.
Can always approve it subject to that being added, and then we'll add it and get it signed at the next meeting.
Yeah, I don't want to hold up the legislation. I just think that we, somewhere along the line, we have to state that if we have a meeting and all of a sudden the equipment fries, and there's not anything we can do about that. And so
There's
we
no
don't.
problem with adding that.
Yeah,
If
that's
you just
fine.
want to
Okay.
approve it.
Would that be all right with
subject
you?
to-
You're the original
to
sponsor.
that, I'll be glad to add that, and then we'll sign it the next meeting. I'd have it Monday night and sign it then. Excuse me, it's
Do I need to
Tuesday night.
make that in the form of an amendment, or
Yes,
can
sir.
we just do that?
No, make it as amendment to the motion.
Okay. I'd like to amend the legislation to add a clause that in the event of some unforeseen or event that broadcast equipment doesn't work, that the meeting does not have to be postponed, or some proper wording thereof.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second, an amended motion. Should we say which one, or is it clear enough that we're going to use the updated from Commissioner Crutcher?
Yeah, no, that's clear enough, but you'll need to vote on the amended motion first and then the
Yeah.
first motion.
Okay. So on the No more discussion on the amended motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then on the original, is it deleted or deleted?
Just substitute resolution.
Okay. Okay, so I'm good. I'm good. I don't need to vote again?
No, you just need to vote on the
The original. Okay.
substitute resolution.
Okay. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Discuss and take action on number 11-15.
A resolution requiring the agenda of the Board of Commissioners and the Board of all commissions and committees of the City of Fairview, Tennessee, not add items to their pursuant meetings, published meetings, agendas unless emergency or exigent circumstances have arisen after the agenda was published and before the commission or committee meetings. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and second, any discussion?
Mayor, just same announcement as on the last resolution. I drafted the resolution simply again because I couldn't get a hold of Brandy or didn't have time to get a hold of Brandy and her get a hold of Mr. Cantrell. So I guess amend it to move it as I have drafted this resolution. Move to approve it as I have drafted this resolution, rather.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion or anything to add? And I guess you're good with this one too?
Yes, ma'am, I have no problem with it. You just need to vote on the resolution as amended.
Okay. So, we don't need to, okay, so do you need to say vote on it as amended? Somebody need to clarify that?
I think we did amend.
We did?
amended.
Okay. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, discuss and take action of Resolution 1215.
A resolution requiring all members of the Board of Commissioners, all commissions and committees of the City of Fairview, Tennessee, appointed by the Board of Commissioners to bring any and all resolutions or ordinance they desire to be prepared by the city attorney before the Board of Commissioners or committee upon which they work, which they will sit for a majority vote before the city attorney may engage in prepare appropriate documents. Commissioner Crutchen, move to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and second, any discussion?
Again, Mayor, same announcement on this one. After we had a lot of discussion on this one a couple of meetings ago, or I guess a meeting or so ago, and there was a suggestion brought up at that meeting by Commissioner Johnson that what may handle my concern, I guess, would be just to simply, if a commissioner, either on this board or another board, commission, or committee, wanted to have the city manager engage the city attorney, that as long as that communication between that particular person and the city attorney was in writing and stating the purpose of what they're trying to accomplish, that would remedy my concern. And, you know, I thought long and hard about that after the last meeting and just how the process works of getting things on the agenda. And I think with this resolution, as I have amended it, drafted it again, just because I couldn't get a hold of the proper people to do it, coupled with how we are now going to handle agenda items, I think that would remedy any concern that I had and would deal with the transparency issue that I had a concern with, as long as, again, it's put in writing to the city manager before the city attorney's engaged. And what the resolution says as amended, and I'll read it, it just says a resolution adopting a policy for the city of Fairview, Tennessee, requiring the members of the Board of Commissioners and members of all other boards, commissions, and committees acting without a majority vote of their respective board, commission, or committee, and desiring to have the city manager engage the city attorney for the purpose of preparing any draft ordinance or resolution to make a request to the city manager in writing, including the purpose of said request. So I move to approve this as amended.
Second.
Okay, first and second, any discussion?
Mayor, if I could elaborate on that.
Sure.
In speaking with Commissioner Crutcher, I felt like that the city manager would have the ability to forward that paper trail on to each of us if one of the 5 of us decided that we wanted him to take such action, that he could keep the rest of us abreast of that when that was going on, so nobody was blindsided.
Mayor, may I say
Yes,
something?
please.
Again, I've read the resolution. I have no problem with that. I do want to say, and I think Commissioner Crutcher will agree with this, when I was drafting these resolutions, I procured the minutes of the meeting from Ms. Brandy, and I included those things that I was instructed to include. And as he told me tonight, he had, after thinking about it, he had some idea changes, and he drafted this. I have no problem with that, and I've read it, and I have no problem with this, but I was not going off as a renegade and drafting what I wanted to do. I drafted what was in the minutes.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, if everybody is good with that and there's no more discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that brings us to D. Discuss and take action on employee health plan for 2015-2016 fiscal year. Commissioner Bassell.
Thank you, Mayor. Let me turn this back on. Thank you, Mayor. What I would like to recommend that we do is, first of all, that we don't take action on the employee health plan tonight. We do have a budget meeting on Tuesday, and it is a significant expense for the city. I think it should be decided in play with the other significant expenses that we no doubt will be discussing on Tuesday. So I do want to, because Mr. White is here, and we had several questions at our last budget meeting that he could answer for us, I think, that we take the opportunity to have a sort of a forum setting where the board asks questions about that. Now, do I need to make a motion in order to have that discussion, or since he is a guest, can we just have an interchange with him without that, Mr. Cantrell?
Your item says discuss or take action, so let's discuss it.
Okay.
So I have no problem with however you want to run that.
All right. Is that okay with you, Mr. White, if we do it that way? Or did you have a presentation that you wanted to make?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Dowdery, is that okay with you? You, sir?
Yes, sir. I just want to let the board know that it is, if we can have a vote by Tuesday, it's imperative we make a decision as quickly as possible so that they can do the enrollment process and get the cards to the employees by the 1st of July. So we are under a somewhat time constraint. But as far as I know, Tuesday would be okay, Tim.
And we're not going to make Mr. White be present again, are we?
No. I think this would be fine. I made note of 3 questions. If it would be okay, I'll be happy to kick it off.
Okay.
Is that all right? Mm-hmm. Thanks, Tim, for coming in tonight. I appreciate it. I know you're getting tired of listening to me, so I apologize. One of the questions that seemed to continue to float after the other presentations was where our proposed plans are in the spectrum of plans. And I didn't want to speak for you, but my first question is, in trying to address those concerns, is the plans, or the major plan that we were leaning toward, at least in discussion-wise, is that plan, are there plans that are more expensive and more comprehensive than that, or is that the absolute best plan out there? I know it's a very general question, but I'm trying to get some perspective about, what are we providing our employees? Is it a good plan? Is it a super plan? Or,
They've got, just on that platform that with United Healthcare, there are 2 other plans that are better than the than the plan that we were discussing in the last meeting, that plan being TWAL. Now, they're not on there because that was, they didn't fit within from a monetary standpoint, the shoe didn't fit.
Okay. But there were, the plan, the TWAL plan, and the plan right below that, what is that, TWA? M? Those plans are not the best plans that were available. They were just the plans that were within the price range we had discussed.
That's
the best
what
plans within those price
started with the TWAL being the first one that fit in the.
Okay. Obviously, the better plans would have been more expensive.
Absolutely.
A lot more expensive.
Well, you've got probably 7 to 8% each time you stepped up each plan.
Okay. All right. My next question is, and I'm sure you've told us this, I have in my mind that there were 4 companies that you pitched this to, and only 2 chose to respond. Is that a correct assumption?
We've got Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Tennessee that obviously released a renewal, and then United Healthcare was the only other carrier that released a proposal. All other carriers declined to quote based on non-competitive rates.
Okay.
Now we looked at Aetna, Cigna. You had Assurant which just this past week sent out a blast to everyone in Tennessee that they're exiting the medical insurance, their medical insurance platform, that it's for sale. So obviously you sure wouldn't want to be in transition with anybody. But they declined it. They did decline to quote. And then you've got Community Health, CHA, who has suspended, they've suspended group business until August 1st again. They're the co-op in Tennessee, so they weren't an option at this point. So, I mean, we looked at all viable options that were available on a fully insured platform.
My next question was, and only 2 more questions here. My next question was, as I understood the numbers, if we chose to just stay with Blue Cross Blue Shield in the current insurance format, without the HRA, our cost would still go up 15%.
That's correct.
Okay. So for what most consider to be a substandard policy with a $4,000 deductible, if we eliminate the HRA, then our cost to provide that less than adequate policy, my words, not yours, would still go up 15%.
Started at 20%, and then we were able to negotiate it down to 15%.
Because United Healthcare got into the ballgame.
That's right.
Okay. And then my last item is just you've been doing this with us for quite some time now, and so I trust your expertise. We are not the only city that you deal with. I have in my mind there's probably 20 to 30 different governmental agencies that you deal with. In looking at the TWAL and the TWAM, I can't get that, but that makes sense, it should be M. In all the policies that you help procure for those different places, would you say we're in the top third, middle third, or bottom third in terms of the insurance that we are providing for our employees if we select one of those 2 policies?
Current plan is in the bottom third. Now, the plans that and that could all change depending upon how much you did with the HRA. I mean, but
assuming we want out of the HRA business.
Assuming you want out of the HRA business, then, the plans that you're looking at they're going to be comparable. You're going to be in your mid to top 2/3. of of all the clients that we work with in municipalities, utilities, and county governments.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Okay, any other?
I had some questions.
Thank you.
Just in fairness, so that we get a real, I mean, an accurate picture of what we have here. You said there were 2 plans that were above what we have listed here as the top plan
On
that's
that,
available?
on that Primary Advantage.
Okay.
They're not on the, I didn't list them.
Sure, I understand. But there's 6 plans that are actually below this plan. True, right? I mean, so we then have one of the top 3 that are available on this platform. That's what we're
right.
proposing. Okay. And I know this is just talking about health, but is the dental, or is any of that going to change at all?
Yeah, there's a slight change if you, if the rates wouldn't, you wouldn't have to change them, but if you do change the, I would suggest that you do take an off-year renewal so that all of your, everything renews at the same time. You don't want the dental renewing on a off of your, all of your other insurances. But it's a, city currently pays for the individual amount. The individual amount is $19.81. The renewal for the dental is $21.79 if you decided to change the renewal. So, you know,
What I'm trying to figure out, I'm not gonna stop you there if you don't mind. What I'm trying to figure out is the $391,000 that it cost the city last fiscal year. Does that include or not include dental?
that's just the medical.
That's just, okay, that's what I was wanting to know. Okay. All right, and then I know you said that in terms of how our plan stacks up against what other municipalities and utility districts that you work with, we have a plan that's in the mid to top third. Is that fair if we pick this plan? What do those organizations contribute toward the employees, both employee plus one, and family on average?
Well,
or how do we compare to those?
I can do some benchmarking for you, but I mean, at the Water Authority of Dixon County, they're on the exact same plan. They're on the TWAL plan that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they pay 100% of the employees' portion. They pay a good bit of the dependents. And also, they've got higher rates. So, you know, I'm not telling anything that is not in a public meeting, you know, that, so,
They have a lot of our money. They can afford to do that over there.
I was going to say, we heard it in the meeting. We were there at Dixon Water.
And I'm going to make a presentation on, and I have passed out something that I worked up within the plans through United Healthcare based off what you gave us. And I specifically worked up one with the TWAL plan, the TWAM plan, which is just below that. The TWAL has a $1,000 deductible. The TWAM has a $1,500 deductible. And then you had mentioned on a page behind that there was a TW58 that I think there was a little bit of a different component with respect to specialists.
That's right.
So I made that an option as well. And the thing that I did in my spreadsheet that I passed out to all the commissioners and anybody else that wants one's welcome to have one, was under the TWAM, the $1,500 deductible plan. I left the employee, well, actually I lowered the employee's contribution, just employee only, to like $85 instead of $100. Then I left the family, or the employee plus one and the family at $100 and $200. Or excuse me, I said that wrong, $200 and $300. And that because the number we were sort of looking at trying to figure out how to come up with to close the gap was around $28,000 or $29,000. And that would do that. I mean, under that scenario, that would put us at the, under that plan, that would put us at the annual premium of about $355,000 roughly. And then I went ahead and, as two other options, included those better plans, the TWAL and the TW58. I left the employee contribution at $100. I raised it to $100, which is what we're proposing to do under that plan. And then the employee plus one, instead of $200, I went to $250, and then the family plan, I went, instead of $300 to $375. And I didn't just arbitrarily come up with those numbers. I looked at, we have compared ourselves as a municipality to White House. I hear that quite a bit. And I looked at what White House was paying based on their budget this year, and they're still, the employees' portion is still higher in White House than what we would be offering under my spreadsheet. And again, I'll present that in detail on Tuesday night. I don't want to go into it too much tonight, but I guess those were my questions, though. I was just curious about how other people stacked up in terms of what they actually paid for the employee, the family.
Have you given Mr. White a copy?
There's a copy on the table there somewhere.
Okay. If you'll take that and just make sure if there's anything we need to, did you have a chance to look at it?
The numbers look, I mean, they would work. I mean, that's what they are.
Okay. Okay. Any questions?
And I will say that even under these scenarios, if you work up what the cost to the employee is just for the premium on an annual basis, it's still less than what we have in the current plan, and the deductible goes down significantly depending on which one of the, well, under any of these three, goes down significantly. So, I mean, that's again, those are options that we can discuss in more detail on Tuesday night, but if we're looking for $28,000 and be able to give our employees options on some good insurance, this may be a way to do it.
Okay. Anybody else? Mr. White? Okay, I just made sure that we didn't need anything else before we moved on. Okay, thank you for presenting that.
Mayor, I
Yes.
think
Yeah, Mayor, if you're going to defer this to the special meeting on Tuesday night, we need to have a motion to do that, and we'll need to have an authorization for Ms. Brandy to re-advertise this, because we have enough time to do that, but it's not on the agenda for Tuesday night, and it'll need to be put on there.
Okay.
So we need authorization from the board to do that.
motion to defer to Tuesday night
Second.
and to approve Ms. Johnson to take the proper, make the proper notification for advertising.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we decided to wait on E, and then that'll bring us to new business. Discuss and take action on debt restructure through Cumberland Securities. Presented by John, what's the last one? Warner. Okay. Commissioner Bazell.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to defer to our CFO, Mr. Warner.
Thank you, Commissioner Russell. I'm going to introduce John Warner. He has worked extremely hard on this proposal, and I'm looking forward to hearing his presentation.
Thank you very much. I appreciate Tom and Mr. Hall for allowing our company to work with this. My name is John Warner. I'm with Cumberland Securities. We're a firm that was founded in 1931. We're out of Knoxville. We represent cities and counties and utility districts and school districts and hospitals across the state of Tennessee, and we're pleased to get an opportunity to work with you. I was just making, quite frankly, a courtesy call on the city. Wanted to see if they had an opportunity for us to maybe do some business, and lo and behold, there was. He explained to me about the current financial position of the city and where we were 5 years ago and where we are now. And he also talked about a resolution that I think that this board took up last year for the financial stabilization resolution, which you all passed. And now that that was passed, how can we work within the context of our current debt structure, and how can that work, going forward and free up some of the cash that is working right now towards debt service and restructure it back to the general fund to address some of the issues that you are having to work with. On April 17, I put together a proposal for the city, and I believe each of you have had a chance to look at it. Quite frankly, and I'll just summarize it until you have some very specific questions. On page 2 of this summary gives a very graphic depiction of what the city's financial position is for at least the next 4 years, and then what it looks out through the duration of your current debt structure until all the debt defeases. It does not take into consideration taking on any more additional debt in the near future. More importantly, is on page 3, you'll also notice that of your debt that you have, 43% of it is variable. That means as the interest rates and the interest rate market moves up or down, so goes your interest rates on what you're paying. And I believe once you include all the different fees and that sort of thing, you're paying approximately 1.65% on your debt. But it is variable. And to give you a context, over the last month or so, the treasuries, 10-year treasuries, have gone up basically about 40 to 50 beeps, which means basis points, almost a half a percentage point. So there's some volatility in the market, and we know what the Fed is wanting to do as far as increasing interest rates as well. I don't forecast interest rates, but I do suggest that if you have an opportunity to lock in your variable rate debt and make it fixed going forward, I suggest it's a good thing we do. Point of clarification, our firm does offer a variable rate product, but we have not offered that, or we have not suggested that to any of our clients or any of our prospects going forward, just because you still cannot beat the fixed rate environment that we've been in. It's still at a historical low, even when you're talking about a half a percentage point on 10-year treasuries. Going through everything, what we would suggest to the board is that you take all of your debt that you have, the debt on this building, the note that you have for the pumper truck, leases which do not constitute as debt, convert those leases into debt as well, and I'll explain the reason why here in just a bit, and convert all of that into one package through a bond. And it's through this bond issue, then we restructure that debt. And it's not only so much as to lower your interest rate cost, which is certainly a positive, and also it's also a positive that you can take your variable rate debt off of the table and you can make it fixed. More importantly, what you're able to do is you're also able to match up your debt structure with the life of the asset. For example, you have leases right now where you have a very good lease, okay, for your police cars. It's 5 years, and that makes sense because a police car wears out pretty quickly. But you also have, that's not a lease, that's a loan, but it's still to pay for police cars. But you still have a couple of leases out there for a pumper truck and a rescue vehicle. And those are also on 5-year leases. And what I would suggest is those pieces of mobile equipment have a much longer life than 5 years. So it makes sense to sit there and put your debt structure to match that life, not the whole way through, but pretty close to it. The same thing applies also with the building. You have right now through the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund that variable rate debt for this building. You have a lot more useful life in the building, I would say 40 years, and that you might want to take that debt structure and move it out a little bit further out into the future. I'm not one for extending debt certainly longer than the life of the asset, but I am suggesting that had it been restructured on the front end, you may not have some of the issues that you're dealing with today. And that's my only recommendation to you, is that we do that. And if you look at the proposal that we have put together, we suggest that I said, convert all of your existing bonds into this bond plan, take your notes and also move those into bonds and then buy the leases out and do that all together. We're basically talking about a $2.985 million bond issue, and which would defease or through 2030. And the payments would be interest twice a year, principal once a year. And the overall interest cost, depending on how we do in the marketplace, we're talking about maybe, we're hoping to be able to get something around a 2.78% interest rate. So if you're talking about, 15-year money for a city that has never been rated through Moody's or S&P or anything like that, that is a very, very reasonable expectation for us to be able to have going forward for this particular debt. And if you go back to the proposal that we'd given, you can see whereas before you were up and around the $500,000 amount, you're now talking about basically a level payment structure through 2030 of about $250,000. In 2016, there would only be an interest payment, and we're expecting it to be somewhere around $25,000. Okay, so again, you would be able then to free up a lot of cash, approximately $250,000, and put that towards the general fund to do and to take care of the financial matters that you, as a commission, would like to be able to get done through your budget committee. And more importantly is, in the last page of this presentation, page 11, everything goes from variable to fixed. That means going forward, you know exactly what your bond payments are, regardless of what the market does. If it goes up 50 beeps, if it goes up 100 beeps, what we lock in on the day that we sell are your payments, okay, for the duration. And again, I want to emphasize, I don't know what those rates are. We're not a bank. We will publicly sell these bonds to the entire buying community. And of those bids that we receive, then we will have a good idea. Then we'll take the lowest true interest cost, which is the cost of the bonds plus the underwriter's discount. And that's the best way of being able to decide what the cost of the city's debt is going to be for them. And there are other steps to that, which we will work closely with Mr. Hall and Tom on how, as we get to that process, if it's, pleases this commission to hire us to go forward with that. That all said, after making this presentation, I just asked for their permission for us to go ahead and prepare for tonight's meeting. In the event that you wanted to do something, the first thing we have to do is the city has to file on behalf of the city a refunding report. And in that refunding report, you also have to ask for permission to convert the leases that we were, or the notes into bonds. And then also we were going to ask for a new money provision where we purchase the leases and we actually convert that into a part of the bond structure. As we were going through that, a person from the comptroller's office informed us that they could not find anything for the pumper truck. And we kind of thought, okay, that's interesting, because every time you apply for new money or you want to spend new money, you have to send in this request and then afterwards send in a CT 0253 to the comptroller's office. Calling Tom, we talked a little bit. He and Brandy went through all of your records of the past year before the note, which was actually dated December 2012. They went backwards, they went forwards, and you could find references where it was discussed in this body and where it was given approval to do that. We also found, they found an email that went to the comptroller's office, and the comptroller's office requesting to do this. The comptroller's office does admit that they had some problems with their servers during that time. And it's very plausible, because you've done all the right actions up to that point, that never did make it. Well, the first thing they would have told you had they received the email is, we don't receive these requests via email. You have to physically send it in to us. And you never got that word. And you went through everything and then put into effect what you had already approved to do through this, and got the bank loan to buy the pumper truck. And that's been on the books, it's been on the audits, and everything was just wonderful until we ask on behalf of the city to do all this. That all being said leads us to Resolution 1315. The minute that we realized that we couldn't produce all the necessary documents that they needed, we submitted on behalf of the city the necessary CTO 253, giving them all we broke down all the information about that particular note, what it was for, how the proceeds were used, etc. That checks their box. The next thing they need to have is the enabling resolution. This 1315 basically ratifies the actions that you took in December of 2012 and puts it into a resolution form. And it just basically just says, we're going to borrow money, we're going to spend money to buy this tanker truck. It's for a public purpose. It does have a lot of stuff that fills in the blank. It fills in the space. It says, if you do the note, here's what a form could look like. And then basically, that's, and also the useful life of the tanker truck is longer than the note. Okay, so all that, if we get this passed, if it pleases the commission to pass this, then that's the last check that we need to have for the city's refunding request to refinance all of this debt and do it in the structure in which we just got through discussing. The bond counsel that we had engaged to work with us was able to work on our behalf. We got them actively involved with this along the way as we were talking with the comptroller's office, and we were able to have them and us have the comptroller's office issue the approval, okay, on Friday to do this refunding. Quite frankly, I was surprised that it happened, because normally it doesn't happen in this manner. But I think they were convinced that the city was doing the right thing. Our arguments were well-founded. We presented enough material to say that we were trying to do the right thing, and it just kind of fell through the cracks. And which leads to what the things that we had submitted just this week to the commission for your review. 2 pieces of enabling resolution, which basically says that we're going to refinance the bonds, we're going to take the notes and convert those to bonds, we're going to take the money and we're going to also purchase the leases and make those assets and make those bonds as well, pay those through bonds as well. More importantly, there is a 20-day protest period because this is a new money request. And there are instructions and there's specific language that needs to go in either into the local paper or it could go in the Tennessean. It doesn't have to go there. And that basically says we're going to do something with we're refinancing our debt, and here's what we're having to do. And this is the last thing we have to do is we have to let you know that we're doing the 20-day protest period. Then there's the resolution that allows the city to proceed with issuing the bonds. It also allows you to engage into an engagement letter with Cumberland Securities as your financial advisor. It also allows you to go into an engagement letter with the bond counsel, who will be your bond counsel for this particular transaction. And it just basically sets the terms. It's pretty straightforward, very boilerplate in terms of our industry. To give you the highlights for what our firm is, our firm, you can, we ask that we basically say these are the things that we're going to do, and when it's time for us to go issue bonds or any new money, these are the things that we ask for the city to do. We work closely together with this, and if you don't like our services, you can dismiss us with 90-day notice. And the only way that we get paid is not through fees to the city or put us on a retainer, but only through transactions that we complete. There are times that sometimes we will sit before Mr. Hall or Tom or before the commission, and we'll talk about this, and sometimes we'll recommend things where we don't get paid. That's the nature of our business. We are legally required to represent the best interest of our clients, and that's noted through the Dodd-Frank legislation, through the MSRB, which is the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, the SEC, and it's what we do. So again, if you're never satisfied with what we're doing, we're easy to get rid of. Bond counsel, their engagement is only as it pertains to this particular bond issue. And I'm sorry it took me so long to cover all that. It was a lot of material. But are there any questions?
Yes, Commissioner Johnson.
In checking our leases, every lease we have can be bought out.
Yes, sir, it can be, either in December or January. There is a prepayment penalty, which we have included into our proposal. But the answer is yes, they can be.
All right, and that leads me to my second question you just hit on. Is there any early payoff penalty for this through 2030?
It's an excellent question. One of the ways that we're going to structure these bonds is that we're going to put in what's called a call provision. And it may be as soon as 7 years, or certainly no later than 10 years. And the reason why we want to put the call provision is it would allow the city to pay off their debt sooner. Or and as you'll notice when you look at the schedule, coupons get higher, as time goes along, just like interest payments do. But it's very gradual. But if you move, if we refinance it, you could cut those interest rate costs considerably. That's an option. One of the things that I think Tom will discuss with you later on is what he envisions to be able to do with this additional money, in addition to meeting the requirements of the financial stabilization plan on taking care of that. But you could create your own sinking fund, which you could set up for an early retirement of these bonds at the time that is as set in the bond itself. And I'm thinking 7 years, 10 years will be the earliest that you could. You do not have to go through 2030.
I mean, just in layman's terms, that'd be the same as a buyback agreement.
Yes, sir, that does. Unfortunately, it's not at your call. There's a specific time. There's a call provision. And we'll monitor that for you as well.
One of the questions I have, I know you won't know the for sure rate.
Yes,
but
ma'am.
will any of the, did you estimate with us not having a bond rating before, it'd be higher, or, our debt ratio, would that affect what the rate would be?
Well, they will certainly take that into consideration. When we do a rating call, and we may use Standard & Poor's, we may use Moody's, that's mostly who we use. There is no way that you can sell bonds without a bond rating. You just have to have that. There's the people who buy our bonds are not just, they're large institutions, and they really, the only way they can really get their arms around the credit is by looking at the work that one of the rating agencies has done. That doesn't mean that every time we do a smaller deal, let's suppose later on you might have to do a smaller piece of debt somewhere along the way. You don't need a bond rating for a small one. We can do an informal competitive sale and issue that out not only to the local banks, which I strongly suggest, but also some of the regional banks that we have around here. And also a lot of the people that buy our bonds also buy our notes if they're of a sufficient size, and send that out to them and let them see what they do. We've done that recently with Ray County, who's not a client of ours, but they needed some help, and we said we'd be glad to help them on that particular regard. Hope we can pick them up sometime.
Okay.
But you do need to have one, and those costs have been figured into this.
Okay. Just for a public statement, the letter from the comptrollers, they request that it is put on the website. It was put on the website, and this was a letter in result of the work they've been doing and us requesting the restructure. So just for clarifications, you're welcome to go read it, but just wanted to make sure it was clear for everybody that this was a standard practice when you want to restructure your debt that we would need to go through. So, anybody else?
Couple questions. Which items, and I think Commissioner Johnson asked you this about the things that we were repurchasing, buying out a lease. Which items are we referring to?
Specifically, you were talking about a pumper truck, a rescue vehicle, a Spartan rescue vehicle, and then also some police vehicles. And then the other item is the debt that's financed for this building as well. And then you have yeah, that includes all those.
Okay.
It's about 4 pieces.
And we can't buy those out until December or January?
That's in the lease. It specifically says that. Now, what we're going to try, we're going to see is if we can get it sooner, to go ahead and see if we can't buy them out sooner. And if we can, then we don't have to worry about the carrying cost between the time that we do the bond sale and the time that we actually have to pay off those notes. And to you, you probably wouldn't be paying that much attention to it, but to us, there's some savings in there, and it's a wiser use of money if we can get there. If not, then we will, if we can get everything in place and we can get the bond rating in place, then we can, then we may wait until we can see, okay, the market looks favorable. Let's go to the marketplace, put the notice of sale on, and it'll be published on Bloomberg terminals all over the world, and it will, and we'll proceed to go to market and, see what we can do when we see what kind of rate we can get.
The reason I was asking is because we're anticipating in the budget, or the draft budget that we have, that we're going to have debt service of about $25,000 with this restructure. I'm concerned, is there going to be a payment that would be in addition to that come due between now and the time we can buy out those leases?
Yes, sir, you will. You will be, and this is just specifically to this, but you will be making payments, interest payments, no principal payments on all of your other debt in there. That is correct.
Have we included that, anticipated for that in the draft budget?
Yes, I believe Mr. Warner will back me up on this. That is the part of the $25,000 in interest payments.
Now, the $25,000 is specific to this particular bond, and that's the one to be paying in October. You will have a little bit more in addition to that.
So that's what I'm getting at. There's going to be some debt service in addition to that, simply because we can't buy out the...
Not right now. No, sir, that's correct. The $25,000 is specific to these bonds. That's correct.
Oh, it's specific to the ones that we can't buy out.
Okay, let me...
I'm sorry.
No, it's
I may
okay.
have confused you.
No. When you will not have any principal payments, okay? You will have, and I need to go back and double check this, the small interest payments that you're going to be making to the bond fund. I'm not sure if you'll have any interest payments on the leases or the notes, because you only pay those once a year. Isn't that correct?
When do those come due?
Yeah, so it's probably just the small interest payments that you make each month right now to the bond fund that you'll be making between now and, well, actually, probably even shorter than that, because the bond fund can be paid off at any time as long as you give them the appropriate time constraints that are required in the actual note that you signed or the city signed several years ago. And it's going to be like 90, 60 days, something like that.
Yeah, I just didn't want us to anticipate it being A and get surprised when it's B, because
No,
it's
sir.
something we didn't anticipate.
No, sir, we took that all in consideration.
Okay, good. And then our third question, I may have asked you more than 2 questions or 1 question so far. How long is this process going to take, you anticipate?
Well, you'll have, once we start the 20-day protest period, we can also start getting Moody's or S&P to do a rating call. Now, there'll be a lot of material that will need to be going to them, which we have already started preparing for you, and we've already prepared the preliminary official statement for the bond sale itself. But there are some other pieces that'll be coming once, and then also there will be a letter that we will send out it will be sent out that will basically say, we're calling in our bonds, we're paying off our debt. And if we can go ahead and start that process, my guess is it may take about, to actually sell the bonds, maybe 60 days, okay. 75 days, but before we can pay everybody off, because they got these quirky, not favorable to the city payoff provisions, it takes a little bit longer. But we may have some success elsewhere and getting that done sooner rather than later.
Thank you.
Okay, let's see, I had a couple questions. you made, and this is probably for Tom, made the comment about 10 years as far as the police cars. One of my things with adding all of it in is the life of a police car, they say over and over, doesn't last 10 years.
Correct.
What, could you give us a little information why this would be more beneficial to add it in?
Oh, absolutely. And what we'll do is we will provide for the city a schedule, okay, that shows the appropriate amortization for the particular asset. So although you have what looks like on the front end, we're adding in automobiles on a 30-year bond or a 15-year bond, that's not the case. What we're doing is we're basically including it, but it's being amortized as fast, it's probably not even faster, okay, than what the current schedule is. And you're also doing it at a cheaper interest rate. And we will provide those schedules so that he can, for the funds that are, the various funds that he's allocating towards debt, he can make sure he has those checked off whenever he makes the payments and such.
So the police cars will be paid off in the front end?
That's
and
correct.
then you'll apply the
That's
difference
correct.
in the large?
That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
That's a great way of imagining it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And let's see, it seems like I had another question. And what, do you have right there with you, the time schedule of how long you would think it would take to pay off the police cars?
No,
Maybe
ma'am, I
4
don't.
years?
I don't.
Okay.
I mean, I think the current debt service is 4 years. Yes, through December 12, 2018. So, you know, we're talking about making the next 3 or 4 years that you'll have those all paid off by then as well. If maybe even 3 years, just simply because the amount of money that you're going to be paying, you know, not next year, but year after next and the year after that as well.
Okay. Okay. I think Commissioner Crutcher kind of had this look like he's thinking and had something to say. Okay, with that being said, if nobody has any questions.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we engage Cumberland Securities to represent us through this endeavor. And then we'll have to deal with the resolution as a separate entity because we'll have to read the caption.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. No more discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That gives us item B, discuss and take action on resolution 13/15.
A resolution ratifying the authorization of the issuance of interest-bearing general obligation capital outlay notes, Series 2012 of the City of Fairview, Tennessee, in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $178,746, ratifying the issuance, sale, and payment of said notes, ratifying the terms of therefore, and ratifying the disposition of proceeds therefrom, and ratifying the levy of tax for the payment of principal thereof and interest thereon. Mr. Massell, move to approve.
Second.
Can I interject just a second? We had John, did we have 2 other resolutions that needed to be, they really needed to be addressed in A because they didn't have a line item specific to them. Could we address those 2, or we already passed that? Does that, you know?
No, as a matter of fact, in terms of the way that it goes, and I defer to council here, but I think as long as we get it all done at this meeting, or at you know, then we can move forward here.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is after this B, there's nothing else on the agenda for Cumberland Security, so I'd like to take care of that other business in A if we could.
Can we?
Madam Mayor, I make a motion that we suspend the rules.
Well, you can withdraw your motion on B and then have a motion to go back to A and complete it. Because you
Okay.
haven't voted on B yet.
I withdraw my motion. B.
Okay,
Now
so we're
make a
back
motion
at,
that we suspend the rules and go back to A.
okay. Somebody want to second it? Okay. First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so we'll need to vote for A again.
You'll need to consider the other resolutions.
And add
that
it
he
in.
has.
Okay.
Somebody gonna read them?
Do we have those where somebody can read them? Said they did. I'm sorry. I knew I heard it somewhere.
I'm fine with that. Are y'all okay with it since she has it?
Okay. Resolution 1415, initial resolution authorizing the issuance of not to exceed $3 million in the aggregate of general obligation bonds of the city of Fairview, Tennessee.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and second. Any discussion?
That's, what she just read was not to exceed 3 million. Your figure was 2.985.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other discussion? What about the original, you know, do we need to throw in there that we are, does that resolution cover?
I think there's one more.
Yeah,
Oh,
you've
is there
got,
one
you've got,
more?
you've got
Okay, go
three,
ahead.
you've got three.
Three?
You've done
Okay.
the one resolution that allows you to proceed with bonds, allows you to engage us as your financial advisor, and also allows you to engage bond counsel, and
Okay.
a couple of other things in there as well.
We haven't voted yet.
I know, but so we're going to move on unless you have any questions. And can we vote for them all together in that one? So if you'll read the next resolution.
I think it'd be clear if you vote on them separate.
Okay.
Okay.
Then you've got each caption and a vote after it.
So we have three, or excuse me, item 10A, little I.
Yeah, really. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Resolution 1515, a resolution authorizing the issuance in one or more series of general obligation bonds of the city of Fairview, Tennessee in the aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $3 million for the purpose of refunding a portion of certain outstanding bonds of the city, financing certain public works projects, making provision for the issuance, sale, and payments of said bonds, establishing the terms thereof and the disposition of proceeds therefrom, and providing for the levy of taxes for the payment of principal of, premium, if any, and interest on the bonds.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and second. What was the public works? I was trying to find, I printed off the email y'all sent, but,
That's buying the leases out, which would be the pumper truck and the
just
Spartan.
what
the
it's.
Spartan. That's
okay.
correct.
Okay,
And their public works would be public use,
okay, gotcha.
safety.
Okay, we got a first and second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And now you've got the last one, reaffirming, which I think is the next item. Is that what we're waiting on now? Let's go get to the next item, B. No, ma'am. If we're trying to do all this all at once, this would be B, Resolution
Now we've
1315.
got to reopen B and approve the.
Okay, so now, okay, so we've done that and then the other two for what we just got through discussing. Thank you.
We didn't do one on bond council, did
Well,
we?
you've allowed yourself to engage in that. Then what we'll do is we'll have them sign other documents and stuff.
That was part of one of the documents.
That's correct. Yes, ma'am.
Initial vote on A.
So now
Okay,
We need to vote
so,
for B now.
Now we have to do B.
okay, but we do not have to go back and do A as we originally said, just agreeing to hire this company to.
That's correct.
Okay, we don't. Is that what?
You've allowed the city to go enter into those engagements.
Okay.
Which included the bond council.
That is correct.
Okay.
B, discuss and take action on number 13/15. If you'll read again.
A resolution ratifying the authorization of issuance of interest-bearing general obligation capital outlay notes, Series 2012 of the City of Fairview, Tennessee, in an aggregate principal amount of not to exceed $178,746. Ratifying the issuance, sale and payment of said notes, I'll leave my place here, ratifying the terms thereof, and ratifying the disposition of proceeds therefrom, and ratifying the levy of tax for the payment of principal thereof and interest thereon. Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. C, discuss and take action on handicap accessible swing for Bowie Nature Park.
Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, any discussion?
I have a couple questions, I guess, about it. Where did, has this gone to the Park Commission?
I do not believe this has gone to the Park Commission. This is, as far as I know, staff has it, and they met with Mr. Tiroli with the Friends. And if you would give us an update, I think we have applied for this through a grant through Middle Tennessee Electric.
Yes, we talked with Keith and Brian, and we are ready to submit to MTE a grant for the swing for the park that was suggested by the model in that by Brian and Keith. Plus, there's 3 other things that we are included in the grant. One is a new water fountain, which is ADA approved for the restrooms, because the current one is not working. The second thing is roughly 70 more piling caps for the right side of the park to hopefully slow down the deterioration of the pilings in the park. And the fourth thing is on the tot side, the little kid side of the park, there's a piece of plywood there that's deteriorated, and we're going to have something similar to the entrance of the park done by Signs and Wonders, to a total cost of just under $4,000. The grant is going to be submitted within the next day or two, and hopefully it should be approved. So, does that answer?
Yes, sir. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I guess my question is, what action are we taking on this tonight? I'm confused.
No action. No
Okay.
action at all. This was just a point of information.
Okay, so if there's no questions or other discussion, then we'll just defer it or not even do anything?
Just move
Yeah.
on it. We
Okay.
just discussed it. We can remove it.
They're not going to have to come back in front of us to purchase, I mean, so.
The only chance that it comes back to us is, I would say, if we are not fortunate enough to receive the grant.
Okay.
I can tell you that the total cost of the swing delivered to us is $1,025.
Okay.
And it is a swing where a wheelchair actually comes up to it and locks in place, so they can stay in their wheelchair and still swing.
Okay.
Paul Mayor.
Okay, moving on. D, discuss and take action establishing a meeting recess at first change of agenda items after 9 p.m. Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of meetings ago, we were in a rather lengthy meeting, and at one time I looked up and Brandy, Larry, Wayne, and Frank had all gotten up and gone to the bathroom at the same time. And I figured that at certain times, we just need to take a break. And I figured that, and I know that the mayor had mentioned before, just setting somewhere on the agenda to have a break. And you never really know how much time it'll take you to get there. So I figure if we just say, if we're still meeting at 9 o'clock, have a 5-minute recess after we not do it at exactly 9, but as soon as we finish the first agenda item after 9 o'clock, then take it. And it doesn't, we don't have to do it. It can be, if necessary, just announce it, and if anybody does, adjourn for 5 minutes and then come back and reconvene. So I'll just make that a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second. Any discussion? It's 8:30 now. Either we can hurry up and get through, or we'll have that break. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, E, discuss and take action on procedure of recommendation from board/committees, Commissioner Crutcher.
Yeah, Mayor, I'd ask at the end of the last meeting that this be put on the agenda. As it was my understanding that at some point in the past, there had been a line item on the agenda that specifically dealt with recommendations of boards and committees. And I know that there's been some problems recently about things not getting put on the agenda that maybe should have gotten put on the agenda. So I just wanted to discuss whether or not that was something we needed to consider doing again, making there be a specific spot in the agenda to deal with recommendations, board of committees, or not.
I think it's a good idea. I don't know. Then that way, automatically, we don't have to worry if something was submitted or we had the agenda item.
I don't have a problem.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
Well, no, not yet.
Okay.
I guess if we're going to do that, do we have to go through the whole amend the agenda again? Well, then I guess I'll move that we initiate the process of amending the agenda to include a line item for recommendations of boards and committees.
Why would we have to amend if we had a standing agenda item saying discussion from, or take action, discuss or take action from, and list the boards? I don't know why we would have to amend the agenda each. And if there was nothing, then we would say there wasn't anything.
If you're going to put it on the agenda, the charter requires that you have an agenda, the listing of the agenda, like the start of the call to order, blah, blah, blah. You can put it on the agenda where you want.
But we're saying it, give it a specific number each and every meeting, whether we have something.
You can do that, yeah. You can put it
Is
on
that
the
what
web.
we're talking about doing?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, you could put
So
it
we could
under
just like put it at number, just say where number 7 is.
first item on new business, because it would be new.
Well,
I mean, and that way you'd have
but there's not always going to be something.
No.
But, okay,
Right.
but it's going to be on the printed agenda every time.
Yes. I mean, all the committees would be
Right.
every time.
You
I mean,
just-
it's like, we met on Monday and Tuesday, Park Board and the Tree Board. We would have to wait to, 2 weeks to get it on the agenda, because this agenda was set last Friday. So if we had a standing spot, then we can automatically have it on the agenda, and then whatever these committees or boards discussed, it could be decided. Now, only thing, I guess, out of respect to the commissioners, or board, if there was something that you were going to add and you knew you would, it would probably be a good common courtesy to provide whatever information, if there needs to be research or, information, send it out as in an email, just like, or I guess we could send it to Brandy and have Brandy send it out, either way.
Just send it out with your packet.
put it in the
Yeah,
packet.
Have your motion, make it a standing item, because it would be new business, but it certainly wouldn't be under old business.
Right.
Just have item 8A as your recommendation, whatever you want to call it, and if there's nothing there, we'll just put none.
I have 2 comments. First is, that seems to be counterproductive to the legislation we've already passed. I don't mind putting them on there. And they can come and make whatever presentation they want, but they need to follow the cycle for decision-making by putting it under new or old business. So if you want to have it kind of like we do public announcements, where a committee can come forth and share with us what they're going to be bringing before us, I'm good with that. But I think we're undermining the legislation we already passed if we allow them to have a committee meeting on Tuesday night and on Thursday night walk in here and expect us to make a decision. Second item, I got 2 here. Second item is, when I was chairperson of the Planning Commission, the chairman of the committee was responsible for making the presentation for the committee, not the staff. And if we're going to give them a place on the, a standing place on the agenda, and they know that, and they have something they want to share with us, then I think the chairperson or the vice chairperson of those various committees has a responsibility to be here to make the presentation and to answer our questions, not us have to run it through staff to get to them. So I would like to see that included in whatever we do. Thank you.
Okay. Yes.
I agree with Commissioner Basile. It wasn't my intent whenever I put this on the agenda tonight to turn around and do exactly the opposite of what we intended by the resolution we passed tonight as far as agenda items. So I certainly don't want this, you know, if they have a meeting on Tuesday, they don't need to come in on Thursday night. They need to abide by the same agenda deadline that everyone else has per the resolution that we passed. That certainly wasn't my intent. So, you know, I just didn't know. I think the question was, is there were things that maybe weren't getting put on the agenda because they didn't know who they should talk to about putting it on the agenda or what authority they had to have it put on the agenda. So I thought if we had a space for them on the agenda, they would still have to submit whatever they wanted by the agenda deadline, but that at least they would have a spot to come and, you know, deal with whatever recommendations.
I'm okay with that.
If they want to get it quicker, they could convince you they had an emergency.
An emergency or exigent circumstance. Right.
I think there's one or two instances where the recommendations goes up either to planning commission or to codes department. I think if we're going to do that, they should come up to them and they should pass it on to us, rather than just leaving it wide open for whoever. I think that's the way some of the policies are all written. That's the way they should come up to us. I mean, Industrial Development Board, all, you know, they're all welcome to do something like that.
Yeah. I'm still unclear on, do we need to actually, if we're going to do this, do we need to add an item to the agenda, like a number, you know, or can we just, how do we need to handle it?
I don't see any purpose. I mean, if we're, you know, they might as well just go on the agenda and do it like it is. Maybe we should have, you know, Ms. Johnson send out to all the committee chairs and explain to them what is required to get on the agenda and the steps, and then they're clear on how to follow it. And then, you know, if a commissioner that attends the committee wants to request something, I guess they could have requested also, but.
I agree. I'll withdraw the motion.
I'd like to make the motion that when a president, regardless of whether it's done by doing it the normal way or exigent circumstances, that either the chairperson or the vice chair of that committee wanting action by the board be here.
Second.
Okay, so another committee member can't come with what you're saying?
I'd say they're all welcome.
They're always all welcome, but somebody needs to be here that can speak, and that's the chairperson.
Well, I think by eliminating it to just the chairperson, I mean, a representative could go up there and speak on behalf and present. I mean, idealistic, it would be great if the chairperson could, because they were, but these are volunteer boards, and just, I don't know why any committee member, if that committee deems them to you know, represent in their meeting, it would be fine. Hate to get it and make it difficult for them.
Well, it's kind of like what he did tonight with the park board. He took the opportunity to come up here and make some requests, actually. I think that right there is fine in my book. They can't come up and ask us to take action because it wasn't on the agenda and wasn't properly notified, so I don't have a problem with that, doing it that way, which is open to everybody. But he came up representing the park board, which could be any board. You agree?
Okay, any other discussion?
I agree. I think I agree with Mayor. I don't think we should limit it necessarily to the chairman. I think it should be, you know, the chairperson or the representative. But I do think that we need to, although it should go without saying as to how items get put on the agenda, I think it would be a good idea for Ms. Johnson to send out an email just reiterating how we handle that, especially in light of the resolution that we just passed, that we need to have those agenda items in timely, like's expected of us, and then if they get them in, then we'll certainly put them a spot on the agenda to come in and present whatever it is they want to present.
Is there any way that you could add just how you email us and say the deadline is this day? If you can add the chairman of those committees to the deadline, that way if they do have something, and it would just be that reminder of it's due. Okay, we have a motion.
I guess I must have misheard what Commissioner Basile said, so I will withdraw my second. I thought he said that he included the vice chairman in that as well, but y'all both said he only said chairman, so I will withdraw my second.
No, I said chairman or vice chairman.
He did say vice.
Okay, I'll keep my second. I heard y'all say that we limited it to only the chairman, and
Yeah,
that's
I
not what I
probably
heard him
did.
say, so
Yeah.
I don't think, I knew something was different, so.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, motion, well, you didn't vote.
What was the original?
My original motion was that if a committee or sub-board had something they wanted to bring before us that required action, that the chairperson or the vice chairperson be in attendance to answer questions and to, there may be no questions, but they are the people that ran that particular committee, and I think it's important that the committee's leadership be here, not just a representative.
But that all are welcome.
All are welcome anytime. But
That's what I heard.
I think it's important that the chairperson recognize that when they take that job, that's an expectation. And until we establish that, there is no expectation of that.
Okay, well, you guide because we half voted, and then I didn't give Vice Mayor a chance to add another discussion, or didn't do a last call and discussion. How can I do a recall on the vote?
You can ask if anybody wants to change their vote,
Okay,
because you're still on the subject.
okay.
Before we do that, I'll be willing to amend it to any officer, but not just the committee member. I won't amend it to that.
You'll have to vote on the amendment first.
Yeah, I just feel like it's going to be very time consuming if we do it that way. I think there should be somebody to bring it up and put it on the agenda. They could send it out to us. If they want to stand up and speak like he did tonight, I don't have a problem with that. But if we have 9 different committees coming up here every night wanting to put something on the agenda, when there's certain regulations involved that says it needs to go this step, and this step before it comes to us, then we need to hear that.
I don't think this motion has anything to do with that. This is only dealing with it once it gets to our level is
Well, it
who
could.
he's
because we're
requesting
talking
to be
about
here.
It could, because we're talking about committees, all committees.
Yeah, but one of the things is it kind of went away from having a regular agenda item, and one of the things that we were talking, or Commissioner Basile was saying was, if they want to come, this is who needs to come and speak, if there's something on the agenda. So it wouldn't mean, not every committee would submit agenda item probably still. It would just be if they had something, now there's a new requirement that we're going to put on them, and that is it has to be a chair or a vice chair, is where it kind of led to. Yes.
I will say, I think it would be helpful certainly if they put something on the agenda to be here to speak about it. And I starting to lean toward what Commissioner Basile is saying here, is that it should be somebody from the leadership of that commission or committee. I mean, if we're not going to limit it just to the chair and he'll agree to amend it, I think he has, to any officer of that committee, I think I could live with that. That's probably 3 or 4 possible people out of out of a group that could be here to present whatever issue it is. And I think it would be helpful for them to be here, frankly. That way we're not debating over what was or wasn't said at that particular.
What brought it back to mind for me, and I'm on the Park Commission, and the mayor's on the Park Commission. So, I mean, we when the Park Commission brought up the document, the publicity document, we both had things to add, but Mr. Rowe, as the chairman, was the person that is leading the effort, and he was here and made the presentation. And I you know, one of the things that strikes me about that is that one of the stated purposes of having these committees is to get input from the public. And since these are the chair people, the leadership of these committees, then what better person to be making the presentations if a committee wants to do something? And seems to me, and I look back through the minutes before this, and that was, I had planned to bring it up at a different meeting. I didn't until I saw this that Commissioner Crutcher had on the agenda. And we don't usually have that. We usually are almost in a up here deciding, and there's not anybody here from the committees. And we require people to come in when they want rezoning or something, and quite often they don't even have to say anything. They just have to be here. And I think it's not it's not an unreasonable request that if a committee has something. But the logistics can be a problem, so I'm willing to live with an officer, but I think it needs to be part of the leadership.
Okay, 1 second. I would like to invite Mr. White and Gardner. If y'all would like to exit, please feel free. We don't want to keep you here while we debate whatever the last few agenda items. But thank you so much for coming. And, I'm sure Mr. Daugherty or Mr. Hall will get to you.
I've got some things I need to get executed this evening.
Oh, okay. Okay, I just wanted to make that announcement.
Run for the door at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, we may not give that recess. I mean, I did have to joke with Commissioner Johnson when he came up. I was like, it's not 9 o'clock yet. He said he knew. Okay.
Nature call.
Anyway, sorry to
No.
take it a different way. I just don't know what the clarification of officer, but as long as we determine what that is at some point, because I just realized we have a chair and a vice, chair, but secretary. Okay, didn't realize we had all those positions by the way all the committees I attend, besides the tree board, because it's very clear that who's the secretary. But okay, let me. Let's do this vote again. Maybe put your motion, or anybody want to recall their vote?
Withdraw everything and restate my motion.
Okay.
So I withdraw my original motion and my amendment.
Okay.
And this is what I'm proposing, is that when, and if it's an information item, I don't care. But if it is they want some action from us, then an officer of that committee needs to be in attendance and to present what they want done and to answer our questions.
Okay.
Can you add that it be added to our package so that we can look
Well,
at it?
they're still required to follow the stuff, but I think being in attendance is important.
Okay.
Second.
Got a first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Sorry about that.
Opposed?
I wasn't trying to make it long.
Okay, motion carries. Okay. F would be discuss and take action of Bill 2015/15.
Ordinance number 880, an ordinance to amend the City of Fairview, Tennessee Municipal Zoning Code, Title 11, Municipal Offenses, Chapter 4, Offense Against the Peace and Quiet, Section 11-402, 1H, Anti-Noise Regulation. Move to approve.
Second.
It's going to go to Frank.
Okay, first and second discussion and.
If I can ask Codes Director Frank.
Did this come out of a committee?
Yes. It came out of the codes review.
I was joking.
All it does, Mayor, is approved by the committee, and the original said that the work hours was 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. on weekdays, and that's kind of dated because now so many people work on Saturday, they felt that it needed to be clarified, and they changed it Monday through Saturday the same time.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. G, discuss and take action on Bill 2015/16.
Ordinance number 881, an ordinance to amend the City of Fairview, Tennessee Municipal Zoning Code, Article 2, Construction of Language and Definition, Section 2-101, Rules of Construction of Language, Paragraph L. Move to approve.
Second.
First and second, did you have any comments on this?
Now, could I turn that over to the Codes Director also?
Okay.
This simply removes the reference to the city of Mount Juliet to read the city of Fairview.
Oh, we didn't want to keep that?
Mayor, I could probably give you a little history on this if you want to hear, and I'll do it in 30 seconds. At the time this was prepared, it was very graciously prepared for the city by a division of the state. Don't hold me to these words, but it's basically the Economic Development and Planning Committee. The state still has that, but they no longer provide a state planner. The gentleman who was doing this work for several cities in the state, one of which was obviously Mount Juliet. And in his using this, like a lot of times we do, if you cut and paste, instead of using it as an assistant, it becomes used as a crutch. And he left Mount Juliet in there, and we thought that should be changed.
There's actually 2 or 3 places going to be considered for the same action.
Ron Cooper.
That's in there, so just to let you know ahead of time.
Okay. Let's get that cleared up. Yeah. No more discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, that gives us H, discuss and take action on Bill 2015/17.
Ordinance number 882, an ordinance to amend the City of Fairview, Tennessee Municipal Code, Title 16, Streets and Sidewalks, Chapter 2, Excavation and Cut, Section 16-203, Administration, Paragraph 13, Working Hours. Move to approve.
Second.
First and second,
If I can, turn discussion over to Code Director.
This ordinance pertains to working on the streets or sidewalks, but it's changing, as it reads now, work on the weekend or legal holidays is prohibited. It changes that to allow the working hours to be only working on Sunday is prohibited. Very similar to the other working on buildings. This is in working on the street or excavation. It just makes it clear. So it follows up on the same one we had before.
so as it would be now, they couldn't work on Sunday, and how it was written now is they
Can't work on holidays or Saturdays. Change, they can work on holidays or Saturdays.
okay,
But still no Sundays.
no Sundays.
Unless it's an emergency.
Okay. Any other discussion? Doesn't mean I can't work on Sundays either. No. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discuss and take action on Bill 2015-19.
Ordinance number 884, an ordinance repealing resolution number 0115, creating a constant agenda for the City of Fairview, Tennessee pursuant to Charter Provision C-28-29 TCA Code 6-20-215, Section 1, as amended by the Tennessee Legislative Acts of 2015, 2015-04-20, Public Chapter 115. Mr. Crutcher, move to approve.
Second.
Okay, first and second.
Defer to our city attorney.
Thank you, Commissioner Crutcher. Basically, what this did is I advised everyone that the state legislature passed the legislation that we needed to allow a consent agenda to be put in place without having to read the caption of the ordinances, provided it meets all the other requirements, that no one wants to pull it off of the agenda, et cetera, et cetera. And that was signed by the governor back in April. And what I did at the time that we did that, if you remember, we did a resolution to allow us to get where we are now because we didn't have any direction as to what they were going to pass. Well, they passed an ordinance that, they passed the legislation that required the cities that could do this if they passed an ordinance authorizing the consent agenda. Also, they require that we record, as we would in the minutes anyway, the vote, but I thought it would be better to have it on the ordinance itself, so I'm going to request that we have a roll call vote on this. The bill, as I drafted it, the ordinance as I drafted it, makes reference to the resolution so that we have a continuance of the resolution to the ordinance. The second part of it is basically what the state said, this is what you need to do. This is the form you need to follow to have this ordinance proper. So the only thing I did was put in this very small amount of stuff that the bill allowed us to do to tailor it to the city of Fairview. But I would request if you don't mind having a roll call vote.
Okay.
Do you know who sponsored this in the House and the Senate?
Yes, sir. Our representative, Jeremy,
Durham.
And Senator Johnson.
Isn't that something that Fairview requested something, they did it for the whole state?
And I will mention that it passed with no opposition.
Absolutely.
92 to nothing. It also gives every other city in the state that has the same charter the same opportunity. They don't have to. It also gives you the right to repeal this if you don't like it with a similar ordinance.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay. And with that being said, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Basell?
Yay.
Commissioner Crutcher?
Yay.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Sutton?
Yay.
And myself, yay.
We'll get it by one more time and we won't have to read the captions anymore.
Good.
I know Vice Mayor Sutton will be happy with that because he's wearing his throat out.
He does such a good job. Okay, that will bring us to item J, discuss and take action of 2015/20. Or did I skip it?
Ordinance number 885, an ordinance to amend the City of Fairview, Tennessee budget for fiscal year 2014-2015 budget, appropriating $24,000 from the state street aid to fund the city's 20% resurfacing grant obligation. Mr. Basell, move to approve.
Second.
Move, defer to Tom.
Yes, we have an obligation of just a little bit under $54,000 is our 20%. I think construction is going to get started, so we need to appropriate this money.
Okay. And so we have that,
I did want to, I don't mean to interrupt, but I did want to say the reason it's not $54,000 is we have $30,000 of unspent money, and it's not going to be spent money that is still sitting in that line item. So we just moved $24,000 instead of the entire $54,000.
okay. So we won't have to do the GAN at all?
That goes towards the 80% portion until we receive the grant money.
Oh, okay, okay.
This is our portion.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Out of that $138,000 that's left in that line item, what else do we have designated out of the state street aid? Looks like after the transfer, there was $138,735 left.
I'd have to get that number for you.
Just curious. But if you'll get that, I appreciate it.
Be more than happy.
Okay, is this something we'll need to know before you
No,
vote? Okay.
no.
Okay. Any other discussion? I always said to Mr. Hall, if we got this done, it would be a miracle because it looked pretty, it looked pretty out of the reach for a while, but I have to say before we take a vote, I really appreciate you and Mr. Humbert making this happen, and the Board of Commissioners not from walking away from it. We had already spent too much time. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Time for a break.
Yeah, anybody need a break?
Go ahead.
It is closing comments, but.
I can make it.
Okay, item 11, city manager discussion.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Board of Commissioners. Just want to thank you for moving forward with the restructure of the debt. It's Tom and Mr. Werner have put an awful lot of effort into this, and I think it's a monumental decision for this community at this point in time. I didn't see any other way that we could go. The next thing I would like to say is Happy Mother's Day to my wife, and Happy Mother's Days to all of the mothers within earshot of this sound tonight. Thank you, and that's all I have tonight.
Okay, let's see, city attorney, don't want to leave you off.
I don't have anything further than that, Mayor, thank you.
Okay.
I've talked enough, Vice Mayor.
Okay, Commissioner Johnson,
Nothing, Mayor, thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Well, I just want to say thank you for the people on the zoning codes, the codes committee review council. They've done a lot of hard work, and Frank's done a great job with it. And we really and truly, if you look at the book itself, we've just started scratching the surface, trying to make there some clarity to what we're doing and bring everything up to date to where it ought to be, and moving away from the international codes and things like that, going back to what we need to do is a lot of work and effort. And I know what you put into it, so I appreciate you very much, along with everybody else in the city. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Bissell.
Nothing for me, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Crutcher.
I want to thank Cross Point Church for doing the mulch day at the park. They provided half the funds, and I think we did receive that. Is that right from them? Half the funds for the purchase of the mulch, and they did bring a substantial number of volunteers to get that done. And I wanted to make sure that the city sends them a letter, if possible. If we've not already done that, just thanking them.
Okay, well, with that being said, thank you for coming tonight, sticking out with us. Do you have an announcement? Ms. Kathy?
No one mentioned the food drive on Saturday by the letter carriers. The food from that food drive is going to go to Grace Works West Food Pantry.
Okay, I did not know anything. I don't know much about it. If you would come up and say it in the mic for the citizens during my comments, I would welcome that. Just, if you don't mind, how does it work?
Where is it?
Where?
Plastic bags have been distributed by the letter carriers in your mailboxes. If you'll, there's a list of items that they are in need of. If you leave it by your mailbox, they're having volunteers from Grace Works West starting at 10 o'clock on Saturday, collecting these bags, and all that food will go to the city of Fairview at the food pantry at Grace Works West.
Great, thank you. I had no idea. That's great to hear. I would have said that. So I really encourage everybody to anticipate, because it's just a great cause, and we do have a lot of people out here that really use
the service, and we're lucky to have it in our community. Just with that being said, you know, the restructuring of the debt sometimes seems like not everybody's favorable of those kinds of things. But I do think to where our city is, or where we are right now, that Mr. Daugherty and Mr. Hall really weighed out some options and tried to make the best decision. And so, you know, Mr. Warner comes in, and it does seem like a good solution for us at the time. Just as we move forward, I'd like us to, hopefully we won't be taking out any loans for a very long time, but as we move forward, may we remember this and really be thoughtful of the terms and condition of these loans. You know, like the fire truck, you know, it's okay to do a longer loan, but I think the mindset of that board, you know, sometimes was, well, let's pay it off. We don't want to go, and then we have the car. So I just would like to say, let's, you know, as we move forward, and for future people, you know, here, that we need to take that in consideration, because somebody will come along and have to fix whatever we do, because it is a opportunity where different people may sit in seats. So with that being said, and we'll look forward to Tuesday and getting the budget done, and or hopefully feeling like we're moving forward. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Second.